Hi everyone, Donna here. In today's video we are going to be making some reveal wheels. So this is one that I have made. I showed it quickly at the beginning, but just to show you again, these are really easy to make and I'll show you how I did it. So to make this project you will need either some circle cutting dies or something that you can draw around and then cut out, but you just want to start with circles. For your wheel you need two panels, one that's going to go on the front and one that's going to go on the back. Optional is an extra circle if you want to cover your inside section. Mine was white, so I wanted to put some decoration on there because that's going to be seen through the window. I also did a fourth circle to stick onto the back of the patterned paper to give it some strength. You might want to do another circle cut from copy paper that you can fold into quarters to get the middle point for when we put in the split pin, or a brad some people might call it. You're going to need some photographs or ephemera that you want to put into your window here. I will go into measurements and sizes a little bit later. You'll need some transparency or a piece of packaging to act as your window cover. Again, optional, but you might want two smaller circles to act as a handle on the side of your wheel, just to give yourself something to hold on to as you spin. You'll need a split pin, which I have stuck onto here so I don't lose it. And again, optional, but some little bits and bobs that you might want to use to decorate. I've got some white paper down here today just because my grey area is such a mess with different coloured inks. I thought it might make the light go a little bit funny. So just so you could see what I was doing clearly, I have popped some white paper down. So let's start from the beginning. So once we've got our circles cut out, you need to stick them together. So if you've cut anything to back it or to make it a little bit stronger, you need to stick those together. I then put mine under a nice heavy book to make them nice and flat. And I also use the silicone glue, the collal, because that dries really nice and strong as well. And I've kind of got two nice strong panels there. Now your circles can be any size that you want. Mine happen to measure 9 centimeters, or just under, I think it's just either just under or just over 3.5 inches. So that's for the main panels. And you are also going to want in your front panel to cut a smaller circle. Now again, you can use a die for this. I did, and my die for that was 3 centimeters by 1.25 inches. And all I did, there's two options. You can, if you think your machine is up to it, you can stick them together, let them dry, and then cut through both panels together. I cut mine separately, so I put my die on the front and cut it out. And then, say this was my behind bit, I put it on again, lined it up, and then slipped my die in like that to get it in the correct place, lifted this one up, and then the die was left on the back piece and I could cut it out again. So up to you, kind of, depending whichever way you feel is easiest. If you don't have a die, you can obviously draw around something and then just take your scissors. You might also have one of those circle cutters with it looks a bit like a compass. It's got a blade on it. You could use one of those as well. So once you're up to this stage, you've got everything stuck together, you've got your circles cut out, you're backed, and you have inked if you want to ink. The next step that I did is I prepared whatever it was that I wanted to put into my reveal wheel. Now on this one, I use photographs. This is an event that my son was in. He won a competition to design a little picture for an elephant that was in Waterstone's bookshop window. So I used my wheel to pop in some pictures of that. On my prototype, I just found some stickers and put some different stickers in there, like that, butterflies and flowers. So it's up to you, whatever you choose to use. With ephemera or stickers, you just need to make sure that they are small enough to fit within your window size. Photographs are a little bit trickier because you want to size them to fit, but also to include everything on the picture that you want to show. So you can either just use a picture you've already got printed and then use a circle punch to so say if this is my picture, just kind of find the bit you want and use your circle punch. I did it slightly differently. Now I know that my punch is 1 inch in diameter. So I actually went into my drawing program Procreate. Apologies if you don't use Procreate, this probably won't mean much, but just in case for those who are familiar, I went into Procreate, made my canvas 1 inch squares, made a circle to fit inside those 1 inch squares, and then made a clipping mask that my photographs could go onto, and then just shrunk the photograph to fit within that circle. And then printed them out, and I just then cut them out with this. And because I made these circles 1 inch, they cut out perfectly with this. So there's different ways of doing it. If anyone would be interested in a tutorial on how I did that in Procreate, as long as I can work out how to do a screen record on my iPad, that is definitely something I can do. So let me know in the comments if you would like some further explanation on that, and I will do that for you. So next, I'm going to get my 2 circles and I'm going to make sure they're facing the way I want them to go, i.e. the correct way round. So I've got that one right, it's facing the correct way on the back, and I've got my inside paper the way I want it to go as well. That's important just because we're going to pierce the hole next, and if we don't make an indication of the way we want it to go, we can risk kind of popping it back in the wrong place, and if you've got a little bit out of where you've put your hole, the whole thing's going to be out. So that's just something that I like to do. So I've clipped them together there, and I'm going to put a T for top there just to remind myself. Next, I've got my template, and as I said, all I did for this was cut out a circle of the same size, folded it in half, folded it in quarters, and I've got a tiny mark there in pencil where I want that to go. I'm going to clip that on as well. I'm going to make sure I get it as near to the centre as I can. Now, I never seem to get this perfect. I try and do my best to get it perfect, but it's always a little bit off. So don't worry about it. But what you want to do is just get it as close as you can. I'm leaning on a book. You might want to lean on some like foam or something if you've got it. And just because I'm trying to go through 2 surfaces plus this, and I just want some give at the back of the card, and I'm going to go straight through there. Like that. And I can feel I've gone through because I'm in the book. Then I'm just going to make it a tiny bit bigger, but my split pin's only quite small, so I don't need massive hole. I have also in this one brought the circle down a little bit, so this split pin is now quite close to here, so I don't want this hole being too big. So next, we're going to split this back panel into quarters. We want 4 sections and we want to do them on the diagonal. So using this centre point as a guide, I'm going to pop my pencil on and draw a faint line this way, and then turn it round and do it the other way. And you'll see we've got 4 kind of like pie pieces there. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be a guide so we know where to put our pictures. So I'm next going to decide what picture I want at the top. Now I've gone for a travel based paper because I wanted to put some pictures in from our a trip last year to Salou in Spain. And I want this picture saying Salou to be the picture at the top. Now, we haven't put our transparency in here yet. The reason is because we want to use the window here as the guide for placing our photos. So if we don't have anything there, we can just pop the photos in place where we want them. So there is my top panel. This is the picture that I want at the top. I am going to use some glue stick for this. I have printed these just on copy paper because they are going behind a window and this is going to be spinning round. Well, this bit's going to be spinning around the back section actually. You don't need anything too thick. So now we've got that stuck in, I'm going to get a hole punch. We're going to make the slit here, the little thumb notch in this front panel. So I want mine about there. The reason we do this is because we don't want this picture to come any further out than here, because we don't want to see it in this space here. So if I make a little mark in that groove, there it is, and then just kind of very quickly kind of sketch around the outside. And you can also, if you've got a die about the same diameter, maybe like this, you could just pop that on. Draw around it. And that tells us where the edge of our notch is going to be. So we know that everything needs to be within our quarters and below this circle, so that when we turn it, it doesn't show behind this thumb notch. I hope that makes sense. It will all make, or should all make sense once everything's in place. So what we can do next is, it's going to go this way. So whatever picture I want next, in my next quarter-ish, I'm going to put my next picture. So you can see I'm a little bit out here, my line's here. It doesn't matter as long as you kind of get ish, you know, just use those pencil marks as a guide. I think I will do this one next because this is where my son was on the plane. We'll do this one where he's making a sandcastle. And then the last one is just a circle I cut and stamped a heart with the date that we went. And that can go in there like that. And with your transparency, you just need to cut yourself a piece that will cover your window. And at the top here, with it being obviously being circular, I just like to kind of give mine a bit of a curve. Okay, that's okay. We can chop probably a little bit off the ends there. Don't want to go too short. There we go. So you can glue it. You can use double-sided tape. I've got this red line tape that I thought I would try. I usually use glue for this. I just thought I would try using the tape. I'm going to burnish this down so it makes it easier for the backing to lift off. And then I like to take my awl and then just lift away that cover paper. And then we can get this and stick this on to our window. And as a precaution, I then go round with sellotape to just kind of make sure there's nothing that can flip up, and just to give it some extra security, and also just in case there's any little bits of tape that I haven't covered with the acetate, it will cover those as well, so that we don't accidentally get any sticking, because we want that back piece to be able to move smoothly. And again, I give that a really good press down as well. This is the Sellotape Magic Tape, so it becomes virtually invisible. It's really good if you're into journaling and you want to like add a flip or something, or join two pieces of paper together, because it's very undetectable, and just pierce it back through that hole where my sellotape's covered. Now we're all finished, we can put our split pin in. I like to do everything before I do this, because I feel like the more you kind of put this in and out, the weaker it can get, the bigger the hole can get, and we want that hole kind of as tight as possible, really. So that goes in there, making sure this is at the top. We pierce that through the back. A little bit fiddly. So, like that. Now you can see on mine, I can just see the round of the other photographs. I've probably not done that brilliantly, but it's not a big deal. It's handmade after all. So then we just close that at the back, and then we should have a wheel that spins and reveals. I like to put a handle onto mine because I find it easier to have like a handle to hold on to, and then I can spin this. Otherwise I was having to kind of hold it top and bottom. It just wasn't as easy for me anyway. So you can do this beforehand, you can do it after. All you only want to stick it onto your wheel. I do it after because it means I can just kind of get it all lined up, and then I kind of know where I want this to go in relation to this, and you know, that's just a preference of mine. But I stick it in maybe like a third of the way, and we're only sticking on this front part because we want the back part to move. So I'm going to pop a little bit of glue onto there, and these can be any size you want. I prefer slightly larger ones because it just gives me more to hold. So we'll pop that down about there. That one's going to go on top like this. Then once that's dry, that'll be really nice and solid and secure. I think for this one, I'm going to use Collal again, because it's that silicone glue, and it'll just give me that little bit of strength. Then I'm going to match the circle up and pop it down, and you might want to give your two circles a bit of a squeeze together just to make sure they glue. And I'm going to pop that onto something heavy. So then once you are happy with everything and everything's stuck and in its place, you've got your split pin in, it's just then a case of decorating it. And I thought I would do something like this. So I remembered that I actually had Tracy Fox's, I think the kit's called Dispatch. If I'd remembered earlier, I could have actually used the papers to use this. But I'm going to do something a little bit like this. On here, there's some arrows in that kit, which I thought was nice to indicate that that's like a turner. And I thought the blues went nicely with the blues in the photos. So here's the finished reveal wheel. I would probably either clip mine in or put them in a pocket that I can take out and then just use. For this one, I've used the same papers I did when I was making this journal because I'm about to just start filling that. Wouldn't it look good on that page? Just clipped in there with the cameras. All the little pictures then can spin round. Love that. So yeah, I used the same papers because I knew it was going to go into this journal, so it coordinates nicely. I'm not sure how I would go about sticking it in. I'm guessing there's a way that you would have to stick something else on the back, but you would need to ensure that this would still spin round. So the best thing to do would probably be to put a smaller circle and then put glue on that and then stick it in that way. But I think it's quite fun to be able to take them in and out anyway. So thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know if you have a go or if you've had a go before. There are dies, I presume, that you can buy for doing this, but I don't always like to spend the money if it's something that I think I can have a go at on my own. So I hope that's been a little bit helpful to some of you, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.